asking you to introduce yourself, what industry or what work you do, and where you're from.
Okay, so I'm Penelope Prospere. I work as a cabin crew for a regional carrier, and I also run a small business as well. I'm originally from St Lucia, but I've been living in Barbados off and on for maybe the last 11 or 12 years.
Okay, this is home for you.
Yes, Barbados is where I call home.
Okay, so I'm going to start with asking, what was your routine before the whole shutdown and the COVID pandemic started?
I guess I would say I had a pretty busy, on the go type of life. Usually work 5 days a week, off 2, but because I'm cabin crew, flight attendant. I was always on the go. I was always on the move. Different islands, that sort of thing. And then in my spare time, I would engage in some kind of creative pursuit. And I had my little small business that I was trying to grow as of last October. So obviously everything is kind of at a standstill right now. But my routine was pretty much on the go, always doing something, island hopping here, there, everywhere. So this is a strange time for me.
I could imagine. With the announcement that, all right, we're going to go into lockdown, what did that look like for you work-wise?
Well, I think us in aviation were even more acutely aware of the impact COVID would have on our lives, because you could see what was just the gradual shutting down of the world bit by bit. And we knew it was coming, but it's one thing to know that you can potentially lose your job. It's a totally different thing when it actually happens. So I think you're trying to prepare yourself mentally as best as possible. And I thought I knew what was going on, because I had traveled to the US in February and I could kind of see the signs of, okay, yeah, this not going to be possible pretty soon. And so said, so done. And from the time the first case kind of got to the Caribbean, because our flights were affected a lot, right? You could kind of see the decline. And we were getting ready for the big season, one of our big seasons of the year, which was Easter. But when we were flying around with 5 people on a flight, or 10 people, sometimes 1 or 2, you know that life is about to change.
Yes.
But then when you actually get the call or the email to say, yeah, we have to temporarily lay you off, nothing prepares you for that. Yes. To know that you're going to lose your main source of income. And the world as you know it no longer exists, even if temporarily.
So how long have you been prolonged? When did that actually happen?
I think my last flight would have been maybe early March. So I was more or less on lockdown before everybody else. I had been home. I think I had been home from maybe the first week in March.
Okay.
When a lot of my flights had gotten canceled or downgraded and that kind of stuff. So there wasn't much, for me to do. And then we were laid off, I think it was in April. So I had maybe a month home before, it became official.
Okay. You mentioned as well you have a small business. What for you business-wise was started to happen, your customers interacting and going out there and developing business? What happened when we went into our curfew on lockdown for you?
I had to pivot, because obviously people aren't going out and buying, earrings or accessories, that kind of stuff. Nobody's going anyway. So I was sort of stuck in a holding pattern of, okay, so what do I do now? And then I sort of pivoted to making, reusable face masks. And that sort of saved, me in a way. because like I said, it's something that I just kind of do on the side, like as a side hustle to kind of supplement my regular income. But it essentially became my full-time job.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a funny situation to be in, to feel like for the first time in a little while, my business was on an upward trajectory, and then like the floor just fell out from beneath me. So I think I moped around for a couple of weeks, and I was like, okay, what do I do now? And but then a friend of mine suggested, maybe you should just start making reusable face masks. And I was like, you know what, I have nothing better to do. And I just sat and I started doing it, and that's what sort of tied me over for a little bit, because otherwise I really don't know what I would have done.
Yeah. So you are here in Barbados, but the majority of your close family, where are they?
They're in St Lucia.
How has staying in contact or interacting with them been for you?
I think, funny enough, I've spoken to some other people who said the same thing. I find I interact with them more now because I don't have the excuse of, or the interruptions of, oh, I'm at work, or I'm here, I'm on Wi-Fi, I'm not on Wi-Fi, that kind of stuff. So we tend to interact a little more. But in the beginning, I think it was making me really anxious, because to know that they're over there and they both have respiratory conditions. Well, my mother and my brother have respiratory conditions. That's the people in my immediate household. And it was anxiety inducing to know that they're over there. They had cases, and to feel like there's nothing you can do. It was somewhat of a helpless feeling. But I think the more we checked in with each other, I was like, okay, once y'all are safe, y'all are situated, y'all have everything y'all need, then I could kind of relax a little bit and then worry about myself.
Okay. Technology-wise, you connect with them how? What works for you?
Usually via WhatsApp.
Yeah, that's everybody's go-to in the Caribbean.
Yeah, that's pretty much. I mean, video call, voice call, text, whatever it is. That's usually the easiest way to stay in touch.
When you started the lockdown here in Barbados, at any point did it, or for you, a consideration? Would it be here, or should I go home? If
it was a consideration, yeah.
Okay.
I did consider going home in the beginning, but then my concern was me potentially bringing COVID to my house at home, to my family at home, because Barbados had a few. We had, I think at that point we may have had like 24 or something about that, and I thought to myself, especially, and then I think we were hearing people traveling, and then traveling on regional carriers and potentially being the ones like a patient zero in a country and that kind of stuff. So I fought against it, because I did not want to be, the one to potentially bring this virus to my family in St Lucia.
Actually, going back, you would have worked during when a few cases were popping up in the region. How did that make you feel, like being at work in a environment where it potentially could be I'm going to be in contact, or could be in contact with somebody that was carrying? How was that mentally for you?
It was really scary, I will say this, and I think for most of my coworkers, especially for those of us who have pre-existing conditions or things that might predispose us to catching COVID, there were issues with protective gear. Then there was issues with just the amount that passengers knew, because some people still didn't seem to understand what was going on, and they acted as if it was business as normal. And I'll give you the prime example. This was, it was maybe late February, early March, and I had a passenger, his boarding pass was in his mouth, and I said, boarding pass, I didn't even realize what he was doing, and he literally went to me, like as if to say I'm supposed to take the boarding pass from his mouth.
Wow.
And I'm like, do people really understand what's going on, and like just simple things like covering your mouth when you cough. So for us, it's scary because you're trapped in a confined space with people. There's recycled air. It's fairly small, and we were anxious because we felt like, especially once we knew that cases were traveling across the region, like places like Martinique, the numbers just blew up all of a sudden, Trinidad, that kind of stuff. We were definitely feeling the pressure to show up to work and be safe.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, this is our livelihoods, but you had to balance that with how can we best protect ourselves given the limited resources that we have.
Yeah. We've been on curfew lockdown in Barbados since March, and you had just mentioned that you would have actually been home from early March. I know for some people, and you just mentioned anxiety and stressful. How have you been taking care of self, making sure that you are okay? Mm-hmm. That's not just physically, but also mentally during this time.
I think somebody said to me the other day, this has brought out the best and the worst in people. And I think I sort of run the gambit of those feelings, in that initially I think I tried to have a plan, and I was like, okay, this is going to happen. You need to prepare yourself, not just like your home, but prepare yourself mentally. And I thought I was doing a really good job, in terms of paying attention to what was coming up for me, because you're spending all of this time by yourself now that you can't run away from some of the things that you should have been dealing with all along, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
There's no way to run. There's no way to hide now.
There's a lot of self-reflecting. Yeah.
That's an understatement. Frankly, that's an understatement. So, in the beginning, I was exercising, trying to eat really well, and just kind of staying connected to people has been something that I didn't realize I kind of took for granted. Being able to like see people, because after a few weeks in the house and you're not really seeing people, like physically, it does take a toll on you mentally. And so I found that the best thing for me is being able to like talk to people and kind of, bounce off whether feelings, ideas, or even just, talk nonsense, small talk, whatever it is. But I've had to, make sure I take my vitamins every day, drink enough water, get sunlight, go outside every now and again. The exercising comes and goes. But I know it's something I should be doing. Things like meditating, talking to your therapist, connecting in ways, doing everything that you possibly can do to get you through this, because this is such an unprecedented time. Nothing could have prepared me for all of this, and just how it would impact me, like as a person.
Yeah.
So I thought I had a formula, and it was going well. And then, from time to time, you feel a shift, and it's like, okay, what's happening? And you just need to check back in with yourself to kind of recenter, instead of just making it get the best of you, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do. What is one of the things you miss most right now that you would, if tomorrow we are able to go about, I hate saying the word normal because I don't think we will get there, but what's one of the things you miss the most?
I miss like going out for a nice dinner, like going out with friends, having a drink, sitting down, having a nice dinner, getting dressed up, like just making yourself look and feel like a person again. You know what I mean? And it's like, for me, I love to travel. So I had a big vacation. Actually, my vacation would have started this weekend.
Wow.
I had big plans. That's not happening.
Clearly.
So it's sometimes I think it's the little things I've missed. Like, I'm not somebody who goes to the beach often, but there was a point in time I was like, I just need a sea bath. I just need to go to the beach, sand between my toes, get in the water, wet my head, and just, kind of relax. And I never thought that's something I would have missed as much as I did, especially like before we could go to the beach.
Yeah, yeah. When travel resumes,
Mhm.
going home, is this a high on your priority to visit,
Um, yes. I mean, I would like to go home, but again, I still feel until we get a better handle of what's going on, I still feel like because I know my family is safe, I should stay here for a little bit because fortunately, St Lucia has they have no present cases of COVID. Excuse me, so they're doing pretty well. But I think it's something in the back of my mind that I keep thinking about. Like, would I go right away or would I wait? I think I might wait a little bit.
Okay. And obviously too, you're not around your regular work colleagues. I'm sure some of them are here in Barbados, but some of them may have
Most of
gone.
them are. Mhm.
Most of them are. So you are still in touch with each other?
Yes, we are. I mean, I think for the most part, some of us are closer than others, so people tend to check on one another. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? Even our colleagues who were fortunate enough to be able to get out before the lockdown, or some who would have been able to get by, special permission and that kind of stuff. So we still check in with each other, because, like I said, life for us was, it was very dynamic. Different every day is something different. That kind of a thing, and then to just everything come to a standstill.
Yeah.
So I think for the most part, we still try to check on each other, make sure everybody's all right. For the people who are here, if you need anything, that kind of thing. Because it's a small group of us, so yeah, we still connect every now and again.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. I see all the beautiful jewelry that you make in the background. um, a little advertising plug. We still have to eat and make money somehow, right?
Yes, it is, and just so your viewers know, it's at Bèl Kou, at Bèl BEL_KOU on Instagram.
Yes, we can see all your
Like
products.
I said, this is my full time job now. This is full time.
Well, I'm sure they will all see. Go and check on Instagram, Bèl Kou on Instagram. And again, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure catching up, chatting with you.
Yep.
Love seeing you. You know this.
I can't wait to see you and hug you.
I know, I know. Actually, I just want to say quickly, like that. I think that's one of the biggest things for me is not having sit downs. I love to sit down with people.
Yep.
And I mean, this is great to sit down with you and chat, but it's not the same as when we could just, pick up our glasses and walk down the street.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's not the same, but I'm glad that we still have these. We can see each other. It gives your brain at least the pretense that the person is real, like really in front of you. But I can't wait to like hug people again.
Yeah, I totally understand. And the thing is, even as you say that though, you still have this bit of like, all right, select people, because you're still like what you're saying, apprehensive a bit. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
thank you, Penny. It is always
Thanks
great
for having
talking.
me.
Bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye.